Hello again. I've got flat hair. No product in my hair. And a cat to help me. Hello, Socks. We've both had our lunch. Socks has had his cat food and he's had his dreamies. And he's quite happy. And we've had hot dogs at lunchtime. I think too many of them. And if I've got ketchup and mustard on my beard, you must tell me. I don't think I have. I hope everyone's well. Let's see. I've got a commission today. I had good news about something I can't talk about yet, which is really annoying. I will do eventually, but it's pictures as well as the fiction, the stories, the actual text of this book. I'm longing to tell you all about it, and it will be out within the year. So that's really a big thing, and I'm going to have to work hard on that in the next little while. There's a lot of work coming up for the rest of this year. So you're going to have to help me, Socks. He's really good at helping. He helps me concentrate, but then he's up and about. So he makes me sit for no longer than 20 minutes at a time, which is, as you know, the right thing to do with computers and sitting still and things. Actually, he's very sensible. Come on. Today is publication day of a book I haven't got a copy of yet, The Forgotten Daughter from Orion, which is book 5 in my Elsie Mason series. Chronologically, it's actually book 2. They're a bit like the Star Wars series in that the trilogies go backwards and forwards and things. That comes out, and it's kind of bittersweet because they've, as I've said before, they've canned the series after book 6. For whatever reason, they haven't sold through to the stupid supermarkets. In this country, the supermarkets choose about 14 books out of all the many thousands chosen, and they reduce them hugely and sell them by the shitload. And people just go along and pick out these particular popular things, and the people who are chosen, the books that are chosen for those things, are very lucky and good for them. But it leaves a lot of people out in the cold, and poor Elsie never got through for whatever reason to those kinds of sales. I just think Elsie was too sophisticated for them. You're too clever for them, Elsie. Her stories were too complex and psychological, maybe, although I've never had that kind of feedback. They're definitely too queer, which has been good, putting some queer characters back into the 1930s and 40s and 50s on Tyneside, where they would have been, but history, of course, writes those people out. So part of my job in writing historical sagas was putting the queers back where they belong, in the midst of the community, the working class community. Everybody knew they were there, but nobody talked about them. They just used euphemisms. And writing historical fiction has been really interesting for me and kind of cathartic as well. It's like those things you see of queers in the past where it says, "We have always been here." And it's true. Anyway, what else? So that's today, and I got a box of flowers in the post just now as a gift from the publishers. I wish rather if they'd spend money on publicity than sending gifts on publication day. Not meant to say that. And actually the flowers they sent were kind of dead, which says it all. It's some new kind of eco-sustainable thing where they send them in a box, cut flowers, with nothing preserving the stems. So they kind of wither and wilt in this flat box. And then you've got to revive them swiftly when they arrive through the door. But it means you open this thing, oh, look, I've got flowers, and it's a kind of heap of dead stems, which isn't spectacular, but whatever. It's nice to be thought of. And our postwoman is the postwoman we had 2 years ago, who's back on the beat round where we are, which is really nice. We've had a couple since. Some have been a bit careless, and it just makes you feel the post office is going downhill. We know it's going downhill because of all the things that we hear. But it's nice to have Marie delivering our stuff again because she was so careful and so nice and chatty. We have a, a really tiny postbox in this house because the house is from 1870 something. So we've got, a Jane Austen sized postbox because it's the original when they wrote teeny tiny letters to each other 5 times a day. And it's amazing to think, I would never change it, that our post box, our letter box, is from that time. And thinking of all the letters that must have gone through it, all the kind of Mr. Darcying that went on in the past, and the Bennet girls and people. But it means that when it comes to Christmas and you have a careless postman, he folds your cards in half and all the glitter drops off. There's another metaphor. You can actually slide things under the door quite effectively, but some of these post people don't think of that. And so we have a lot of bent cards at Christmas and birthdays, which is unfortunate. Anyway, with Marie back, that won't happen anymore. She's so careful and good. So that's something nice. So there's been some good things this morning already, with, I hope, more excitement to come. I've been writing. I did about 2,000 words again. After quite a good night's sleep, it has to be said. Socks behaved, and I slept like mad. Although we did stay up late watching that ludicrous presidential debate. I can't believe that people look at these two figures as equivalent. The kind of ranting and raving on one side and the sense on the other. Same over here, though, of course. Anyway, so we're up late watching some of that, and then I did sleep well and had heavy dreams, which I can't remember. I have this whole parallel life in dreams that connect night after night. I have a kind of shadow life in my dreams. It's very odd. Sometimes I remember bits, but they definitely continue like its own box set in my head. So I wrote, and I've done no drawing yet today. So I need to loosen up my drawing muscles because I've got a lot to do in the next 2 months. And that's all fun. I always say, if anybody asks me, if they catch me working, I'm trying to write. And if somebody catches me drawing, I never think of saying I'm trying to draw. I'm just drawing or painting. In some ways it comes much more naturally. We'll see if I still feel the same after this commission. Reading Rainbow Roll. I was up even later than the presidential nonsense by reading, sitting up in bed reading Slow Dance by Rainbow Roll, which I would reach and show you if... Hang on, Socks. Can I get that? I don't think you'll let me. I'm reaching for it. Here it is. Oh, so I'm about a third of the way through. I think I'm liking it a bit more, but they really are annoying characters. They're kind of like boring straight people who almost had sex or had bad sex, or they might be having sex in these 3 different eras that we look at. In the 90s and early 2000s and blah, blah, blah. And you think, can't you just get on with it? I don't know what I'm meant to feel about it, who I'm meant to like. I like the fella. He seems a bit put upon. But I think we're meant to identify with the lead female, who seems to me a bit of a pain in the arse, frankly. I don't know what it is. I think she just reminds me of people I knew. I just heard that phrase recently, main character syndrome. I think that's the term. And it's amazing how it applies to people when you think about them. And you realise they thought of you as a very peripheral character in their show, in which they were kind of Mary Tyler Moore, spinning around in the street and looking up at the skyscrapers. It can account for a lot of bad behaviour in people's lives. I'm quite happy being in various spin-offs, probably even worse than that, tie-in media. Yeah, so main character syndrome, I'm going to think about that. I'd like to write about that somehow. And one of the funny things about watching the DC Universe series is that you've got lots of people meeting up who were lead characters in their own shows, then having to share the limelight. which they do very amicably. There's something very good-natured, I think, about those DC superhero TV shows that I'm really enjoying. And they're a bit mindless and fun, and that's good for evening viewing lately. Okay, here I am blethering, and Socks is going to sleep again. Thank you again for watching and tuning in, and all the fantastic comments. I do feel, and I keep saying it, like I've got a community here that I didn't have before. That's quite different, quite separate from my Facebook life and the rest of it, which is really nice. And it is a weird blend of bookishness and writing and just life stuff. Because, of course, as we know, all those things cohere, and you read what you read because of who you are and the life you lead. They all go in together, I think. Anyway, do leave comments, and I might do another Q&A video quite soon. So give me your questions. I'll answer just about anything. Okay, I'm going to plow on with this afternoon and do my groceries and deal with emails, because I'm expecting quite a lot of business stuff to sort out, hopefully, anyway. Okay, happy publication day to Elsie Mason. Do go out and see if you can get The Forgotten Daughter and the preceding books. They're not just for old ladies. That's what people seem to think about sagas, that it's the kind of thing that just old ladies read. Because, of course, mine are very saucy and psychological and emotional and full of twists and turns. Therefore, everybody who's interested in fiction with good characters, good stuff going on. Okay, goodbye, and I will see you again soon in the next episode. Goodbye.